Well, if you haven't guessed, this is Natalie D'Adamio, and I have a short bio to read about Natalie. Natalie D'Adamio was born in 1979, and she's a contemporary abstract artist who focuses on the experimental and expressive. She lives and works here in upstate New York. Her practice explores emotional and spiritual transformation through abstraction, mark making, and process-driven experimentation. Her paintings and mixed media works open raw, intuitive spaces where beauty and imperfection meet, revealing the depth of human feeling and the alchemy of change. Natalie is an exhibiting member of the Cooperative Gallery in Binghamton, where you can see her work on display in the members section each month. As a recipient of the 2025 New York State Council on the Arts NYSCA 25 grant, Natalie presents her current exhibition, Unbounded, Breaking Free from the Traditional Constraints. Which is it, restraints or constraints?
Constraints.
Oh, I thought
You
so.
always change the titles, though.
Here at the Tioga Arts Council, continuing her exploration of expressive freedom, transformation, and the dismantling of limits within creative process and self, Natalie's work is held both in U.S. and international private collections. Natalie, why the title of the show?
Ooh, the title Unbounded. Well, when I was putting together the grant, I told Anna Warfield I was tired of like traditional frames, traditional models of any kind of means, even like with abstraction. And I really wanted to like move beyond the frame. I feel like it also has a personal meaning too, like moving beyond within the self. I was reflecting on that this week a lot. It's always like multi-layered for me in that regard. Like it's the physical product itself, the artworks as a product, but it's really about the process for me, even when there is a product. So Unbounded kind of speaks to that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is part of a longer journey that you've been traveling on.
Right, so in a way it's a kind of a culmination of the last decade, which is nice to receive the NYSCA grant. And I mean, the money is always good, right? But it's also, they're recognizing my depth and my idea, because you have to take the time and write that document. And to be recognized in that regard is like, it's almost where I feel like validated, because I know a lot of times there'll be a conversation, you don't need the validation, but I feel like in relation to when you work so hard and sometimes it's just nice to be recognized. So it's being recognized in a big way, and that is a decade of work, you know, and sometimes crying in that studio. Like, so, you know, all the hard grunt work that goes into actually coming into the fruition of an idea. You know what I mean? Like,
well, what you talked about this full circle moment as an artist.
right. And that's kind of like the last decade in relation to the full circle moment, because as I make the artworks over the last decade, there's different stages and steps of emerging, like as the physical person. I always say art making is giving my physical voice back. That's why words are so important on one level, because I was so like shut down. But when I like let go into the art, I could take all that emotionality and put it in there. Obviously, that's what I'm drawn to, as someone said. But for me, being like shy and shut down a little bit, and also dealing with some kind of like traumas, like that slowly unraveled. And the more I made the art, and then every few years since like returning to art, especially in 2018, like really anchoring into abstraction, you know, I really am finding my voice in the work, but also being fully present here, full circle moment, because now I kind of can return to the world as like who I knew myself to be as like that 5-year-old. Yeah, it's pretty huge actually when I think about it.
So you could look at this work as both empowering and healing. Would that be right, or how do you see that?
Right, and also the other important thing would be it's healing and empowering, but also being non-traditional, and always staying the course with the idea of I want to make the work this way, I want to do it this way. I'm not gonna like compromise. So there was a lot of sacrifice in that in a way, because maybe you don't get received, and that was always an ongoing conversation from early on. But I always like kind of kept staying true to the like raw expression, and then it's kind of like culminating in with a NYSCA grant, like paying off, but even then trying to go beyond. Well, this is like the first iteration of probably, you know, so much more too. I always say it can only be what it is, you know, like in the moment, because you can like get hung up on, oh, is it like good enough? We all maybe do that or go through that. But you kind of just have to let it go and realize this is like an iteration of this moment, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a lot more coming, you know, so there's always that dance too.
I want to back up a little bit. Just
I kind of went up.
I wanted to touch upon how you got into abstraction, because you got into other types of art, right? And this is just a culmination of practicing healing with the mark making.
Well, you know how it really came to be. I was stepping on the healing path in 2010, and the artist returned eventually within that. So the abstraction really I started in 2018, but in 2015 of the fall, I was really like personally going through a really hard time, like a splitting, like an awakening, I'll just use that word loosely, which eventually brought the artist back like fully. It's almost like undeniable, like the magic of that gift. For me personally, right? And I was thinking about this a lot this week too. Sometimes there's a frustration, someone maybe doesn't receive your art or receive you, and you're like, why don't they get it? But I realized, only I can really understand that, and then that's why I'm the artist that I am. I like deliver that to the world, to whoever's in like relationship or resonance with it, but I can't control that part. So in relation to abstraction though, I've always been like an abstract person. I would call myself, like from a small child, like dreaming of other worlds and being so sensitive and kind of not linear for sure. Like school didn't really work in like a linear fashion. I don't learn like simple like mechanical things. I just tend to go into the feeling state more. And that's really like a dominant nature of not just the way I relate to the artwork, but how I relate to myself. You know? So
how do you define abstraction? Do you have a label for that? Is everything abstract? Is everything abstract to you?
I said it's all abstract to me, like it's all Greek to me, but it's all abstract to me. Yeah. In a way, because you could look at a tree, but you're not really looking at the tree, you're looking like beyond the tree, or if you're looking at the sky, you're looking like through it. Does anyone relate to that? So it's kind of like channeling other worlds too, in a way. But that comes in from like a healing stance of like having a shamanic energy healing background and like journeying out. But you could say those are just different meditative states, so they're just like different perceptions than the original like people of abstraction like Wassily Kandinsky and Hillmath Clint. They're more like spiritualists, so I kind of have that slant towards the abstraction through that spiritual lens. And I'm interested in bringing like the esoteric back into the conversation, really. But that, you know, that's abstract for sure.
Right. You're doing a class here, right, on the 20th?
I am doing a class on the 20th.
And maybe you can talk to the folks about how you start with your feelings first.
Oh.
Right?
Well, you know what?
You get a piece of canvas or something.
Well, we should rewind to 2023, the summer of 2023. Oh, because that's another important thing to say about this work. Like throughout the practice and years of working, like things happen in the studio, like the papers start getting stuck together randomly and like crooked. I'm like, ooh, this is like attractive to me, but it's like not the main work, right? It's like the side thing that falls here. That is so exciting, and the happy accident and the surprise. So you could argue that I'm trying to bring the happy accident and surprise as the main thread, which is hard to do, right? Because the happy accident just happens. So then it's like, this is intentional, thinking about the happy accident. So over the years, those ideas kind of fall to the wayside, or you cast them aside. But then when you come back around and return, you have like an aha moment, like through those threads of experience. Right. And say, oh, this could be the thing. Like, and for instance, the class is going to like be about just experimental and unconventional mark making, right? So that's kind of like a first step into like thinking about this, at least the way I see it. But I love the immediate drawing so much, but people like totally a lot of time discredit that immediacy, because it wasn't belabored or it wasn't rendered forever. But for me, there's something so exciting about the mark in the moment, and that immediacy and really letting go, because it's not the easiest thing to do. I don't think, even for me sometimes, because things arise in the moment, like all kinds of emotionality, even for me. So it's like, oh, maybe like a dark moment comes up, but if you can like catch it and not be afraid and use that in as an entryway in, it becomes very exciting.
Well, it's obviously you're so prolific. You have something like 53 pieces here. Why the different sizes?
Here we go, the sizes. One thing I could speak to the larger work, I just kind of overcome my fear of making like a 5-foot painting this year. The last show in like May that I had, there was a couple pieces there, so I wanted to carry in that theme of going larger. But then there's something about a like wall of smalls or a bunch of small drawings where they're all separate, but when you put them together, it makes this whole like experience. There's just a lot of art in me. Okay. Because I made those small pieces within the last few days of this week.
After months of doing all these other works.
Yeah, we hung the show on Monday, and I guess I was bored. I was like, I feel like there's always more. But that's something to speak to in the beginning when I returned to art making. I was locked up. Like as an artist and a person. I feel like I was always an artist, but it's just those decades of like whatever I lived through, or like not, choosing it. So going back in, when I was reawakened, there was just a natural, like, a lot of art there, and like kind of went the opposite way from locked up to like maybe too much. Where it become like an obsession. But I guess you could also argue it's a passion too, because when you're always working like every day for years, which I have been, it's just like becomes like a second nature to like, that's what I gotta do, Right.
Yeah. Talk about the words. Talk about the poetry. Why did you feel it important to drop in some poetry in between the art? So
there is some poetry. That's the other thing I always say. Art has words, at least for me. And I feel like abstraction is so poetic. Poetry kind of lends itself to abstraction. If you start looking through the history of abstraction, you'll see they're using poetry too, so it's not like anything new. But I feel like it's the intuitive sensing feeling part of me. Like it's easy to hear just as much as see a color, hear the words come through. I guess I wanted to claim that art can have words and they can go together and they don't have to be separate. Because a lot of times in the past, the conversation could be like, you shouldn't talk about the work, or, you know, what I realized in the summer of 23, when I went to the residency in Santa Fe, you know, a few defining moments was feeling first. When I like really just embodied feeling first instead of, and then the technical things come, it changed me forever. And I spoke with an older gentleman in Open Studios that weekend. I was really talking about abstraction. He goes, "You really know how to talk about it." And in that moment, I was like, "Oh yeah, I do." I think I'm just a translator of the abstract, if that makes sense too. Where so many times, even abstract artists will be like, "Oh, you really are saying how I feel, but I don't know how to say it." I get that all the time. It's just like it's part of me to express all of these creative outlets instead of like hide them or think they don't belong together because of whatever someone said, or so the words need to be there because the art is bringing back my physical voice, and I have so much to speak to besides just making an artworks.
Talk about this work here, the Divine Dance of Re.
Oh yeah.
Every piece is named with the name begins with R-E, right?
Yeah, so that came about, I think it was because we always talk about language sometimes, but and then I was thinking about the constellations and just like the reawakening, the reviving,
Rebirth.
And then reclamation. So I just decided to go with that theme. And I was thinking about like constellations, like, you know, as the arrangement. That's why they're like not even or whatever. But which goes with the theme with Unbounded. So it's like a memory and like a time portal in a way. At least that's how I'm seeing it.
Okay. I also wanted to point out that these are all works on paper.
Oh yeah.
Where these others are works on canvas.
You're right.
Yeah. Any particular reason?
And in what, like, well, I love paper. There's something about paper that, no, wait, this is a good one. I promise it's better than that. There's something about paper, even like, and you don't need the most expensive paper. You could have the 140-pound whatever paper. But if you like layer it with paint and more paper, it like really shows its resilience. You can like scrape and like really do a lot with paper, which it almost becomes like a dialogue for me in that regard. I feel like it's a deep theme in relation to like how much the paper can take, and it's resilient, and it never really, it still withstands. In relation to these, though, I wanted to like rip them. They're like fragments, I guess. Right. And then I don't know. Like I didn't move to make. I could have made larger paperworks, but it was just easier, I guess, when you're going larger to use the canvas. Right.
And you want to go larger then, huh?
Larger, yeah, of course. Yeah. I think larger was always in me. There's a lot of art in me, so sometimes the space that I have is limiting, because if I had a real big space, I could probably let go even more. But so I dream of that, but it's also learning how to work with what you have, and I think being grateful that I just have a space right now is like another thing, because that could change, you never know.
I want to see if anybody has any questions,
yeah.
but before that, I want to remind people that November 20th, you're doing a free class, and that's going to be on paper. You can talk a little bit about that.
Oh, the free class is on November 20th from 6 p.m.
to 8. Okay.
Yeah, 6
and that's
to
here?
8. That's going to be here.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be right here.
Okay.
That's going to be cool, right? because it's like, ooh.
And you're going to bring all the supplies?
Yeah, the
and
supplies
people just
are
have
included.
to show up with their imagination, right?
Yeah, so it's one thing I noticed with kinds of all artists is they have trouble letting go, or people maybe even have trouble letting go in their life. So I feel like this is a good practice for like anyone, my opinion, but I might be biased. But like, because you really start to build a kinetic connection with the self, like a relationship with this mark and your emotion and energy. See it kind of like as an energetic extension. We don't always have to go that deep though. It can just be fun and free and simple and light. So there's many ways to kind of always look at these things like an accordion of, you know, depth. You could start here, but always move deeper and deeper and deeper. So it's about just learning to connect with the self and find the freedom and have that experience, because we don't take time, I don't think, to like just let go and have fun. It starts with fun, but it eventually becomes work, and then you get mad. Or like in like making a whole show like this, you know, there's the ups and downs. But so I'm looking forward to just the fun part too.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
Like, and just like not thinking about it has, because eventually there's a lot of thought in this, even though maybe it doesn't seem like it.
Sure.
You got to think
That
about.
one's got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate pieces of canvas, right?
And you're thinking about, I even the splatter, sometimes the happy accident is controlled, because over time, the more you work in the studio, you look for the happy accident, you kind of learn to control the happy accident. And
Yeah, so these, you have a video where you're ripping the canvas up on the floor and then taking other parts and gluing them back together, right?
yeah. And I always think I see better that way in relation to like collaging, or I think that's another thing. I could just like see the disparate elements and how they go together. Right, but I'm also more of the like person that's gonna like an interior design. I don't want a white room with like, I want like an eclectic mix. Yeah. Like, so like that's how I see and think in general. That's a good example.
Does anyone have any questions for Natalie?
You're saying that you're saying like Kandinsky, you see some Kandinsky. I also see a little Jackson Pollock in your one.
Yeah, there probably would be. You could say, call me an action painter on some level, right? That's what they're doing. With the Pollock, it must have been amazing because he used sticks and like just put it out. It had to be really crazy, because when you're in here, sometimes you're going into like different states. And I was thinking about Pollock actually when I was making some of this work, because I don't always do the like sticks thing, but he was making it like that the whole time for those. It's kind of intense, yeah.
Yeah, and way bigger.
Yeah, way bigger too. That's what I mean. Well, they will say that there's like that he was thinking about it, but I don't know.
Anyone else?
How many years' work is in this gallery? How many years did you work on this?
Oh, this is just this year, sir.
She had a show in May that she did a whole new body of work for, and then this is after May, right?
Yeah, I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by like it becomes a work, because if you're producing all the new work and then making new, different work, you know, that's a lot of work, right?
A lot of work.
And I think that's how I'm so prolific over the years. What I wrote in the grant, I've done 5 100-day projects over the last 5 years, and they're maybe on a smaller scale, but that is also really something that was important to me, to do a 100-day project, because over the course of days you want to quit, right? Because it gets like monotonous and boring. But when you can move over that moment where you're like, and just go a little farther, something else opens up. Something else opens up. So I have all of that like muscle memory in my experience. So I think that's also what makes me so prolific
Right.
in a way.
Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So a 100-day project, you make a piece of art every day for 100 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
That and last year in the 2024 one, I did it very intensely in a weird way, but it wasn't like every day it came out because they were layered. But I've just really learned, how to manage my own stuff by it too, where I'm not like listening to anyone's directive and I'm making up all the rules and.
Right. But you're doing the work. and tell
In the practice.
People who want to be an artist, you can't just call yourself an artist and not do the work.
Well, I guess do you think that's true or not? I feel like on some level, well, only the individual is going to know like how much they've been working, right?
Right.
But maybe we all go through like lulls or pharaoh times where we get locked up or something. But you're still an artist even in that time. But I think I can speak to it a lot more and easier because I've been in it and I have the record and like trajectory of like what that means more easily, and then I can tell when I'm talking to people if they do or not. Which is, so, but everyone's trying from where they are, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I have a question. Do you have a favorite tool for making?
Ooh, for this one, I was using some combs that he gifted me. Actually, I saw his combs, or he sent me a picture. I'm like, I'm jealous of your combs. And then he got me a set.
This one on the end here has some comb work on the
This
top
one,
over here. Well, you use just about anything, right? Spray paint?
Oh, I've been using spray paint. I was telling someone that I don't know if you ever use glazing, but I feel like spray paint is like the lazy way to glaze or something. It's like, it just covers everything. That's pretty fun. You can't really control the color, and you're not going to color mix either. And I tend to use just straight out colors, but I do mix in my own way. I think there was a picture that I posted that had my table, it's destroyed, and I put the Frank Sinatra my way, and I'm like, I color mix.
But there's nothing you don't use, right? Pen, ink, acrylic.
That's one thing I could speak to is I need the tactileness of a scribble because I'm such a kinetic sensory person that I feel like that's also why I'm drawn to the mixed media so much. Like there has to be a drawn mark, and that's why I love the expressive, experimental, unconventional drawing practice as a standalone, but then it ties into mark making within the work, but also ties into using a brush or not using a brush, because you're building that mark making skill and you can translate that into painting as well. But my other favorite tool is a clay tool. You're not supposed to use that in painting. You can scratch into the paper and stuff, or even scratch into some of these. I like the scratching, but yeah.
Any other questions?
Wait, so what are all the media that you use? Acrylic?
Oh, and I was using a lot of spray paint in this one, but it's usually I've been using pastels that were gifted to me. A lot of Martha's energy is in this work. Soft pastel, colored pencil,
Crayons.
acrylic paint, crayon,
Ink.
charcoal, ink.
Ballpoint pen.
Oh, my fingertips. There's a lot. I was trying to think about primitiveness in some of them. If you just smack it. I like a paper towel, too. Just put the paint on there and, slap it. It's a good one.
How do you know when you're done, though?
Oh, jeez.
I gotta ask that one.
That wasn't on our list.
Well, you look at it, Like I can look at this one and say, okay, you've got the light blue, the orange, and the black, and the pink, and that's it. But then you look at, something like this, and you got like 15 colors and all kinds of stuff going on.
I don't know, Bucky. I think it's like a feeling state, or you're just,
Are any of these you think need more work, or is everything
Oh my
done?
gosh, you can't say that.
What?
Everything's wonderful.
It sure is.
Do you know what I think I said earlier? It can only be what it is in the moment. Of course, you're gonna look back at it and question it, even. And then especially years go by. Like if I look at 2019 work, I go, "What was I doing?" But that's kind of cool because then you realize you see your own progression.
Right.
That's good. I realized that I used to be like, because in the beginning you don't have that trajectory and scope, but looking back you could see, oh, there's a lot of growth there, and.
Even from May, I saw your May show, Beautiful Mistake. It was at the Cooperative Gallery, another solo show. And this was, May, so June, July, August, September. 5 months later, you just really upped your game with not only the colors, but the collaging, the irregular edges. What's next for you?
What's next for me? I was going to say a break, but...
Wait, you just made 12 of those the other day, right?
15.
Oh, 15. Well, you're going to apply for another grant in 2027.
I think so, yeah.
And she's a member, I said before, of the Cooperative Gallery, and she has a piece there every month. So if you're in Binghamton...
What I really want to do is just go to large-scale work and just work on canvas, and I think I have the space for that. Some of these that I was working on that got reassembled, I was working on large canvases and then ripping them. But there was one that when I took out, because I had 6 on the wall and I was ripping them off and looking at what's under there. And I said, aha! And I left that, I didn't rip that one off. That's like a painting, so it's probably right in that aha. There's more there.
That's when you know you're done, right?
No, that means when you're just begun.
Oh.
Are we done now?
Anybody else question? Well, thank you all for sticking by, and we'll move this out of the way. And thank you, Natalie.
All right.
Good job.
I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming and for staying here. I appreciate it. It does mean a lot when people show up for you, so I wanted to say thank you. And thank you to Christina for letting me write that into the grant to have this show space. And just thank you.